iPhone 14 Pro Max, the fastest and largest iPhone on the market right now. And OnePlus 11, a flagship phone at a ridiculously good price point of $699. The iPhone 14 Pro Max does have an Apple A16 Bionic chipset and does have 6 GB of RAM with an Apple GPU. It's gonna face off today against a 16 GB of RAM. Yes, you heard that right, 16 GB of RAM OnePlus 11. Let's begin this test with a boot up in 3, 2, go. And I know a lot of people say, Nick, bro, I do not care about a boot up test, my guy. I don't even turn my phone off. Well, you're doing yourself a disservice because turning off your phone and restarting it once in a while does actually clear out the cache on Android. On iPhone, it also restarts the system as well. So I do think it's good to do it once in a while, but the iPhone says, Nick, bro, shut up. I'm booting up first. OnePlus does go down here. When it comes to biometrics and unlocking speed, the iPhone, you just bring it up and it's so fast. I mean, super quick. However, there's no fingerprint embedded on the side like you'll find on some Sony phones, for example. So this phone right here can be a little bit slower, I think, than a lot of Android phones just because the unlocking is not hardware based, but we do have an optical fingerprint sensor in display here for the OnePlus, and it is blazing quick as well. And like I've said with other Androids, once you know where it's at, you can definitely unlock this phone faster simply because you don't actually have to look at the phone. And once you figure out where that fingerprint is, you don't gotta look. You can be pulling it out of your pocket if you know where it's at. So definitely a little bit quicker to unlock for the OnePlus 11. All right, guys, so both phones are fired up here, and you could see that in terms of scrolling, in terms of general operations, I do have no app drawer enabled on my OnePlus 11 here. Just exactly the same smoothness. I will say the iPhone doesn't look super smooth in app library when you go up and down. This 120 Hertz ProMotion is better than the iPhone 14 Plus, but for some reason, it doesn't look as smooth here in that action. But overall, you know, both of them very quick. And if you throw the OnePlus 11 into its 60 Hertz mode, it is ridiculously choppy looking. So most Android phones need their 120 Hertz enabled. All right, guys, so here we are at the application portion of this speed test. Let's begin with calendar. And you can see, wow, what a big jump on the iPhone. We'll go into calculator, pretty close there. Weather, that's the OnePlus 11. And we'll go over here to clock. Looks like the iPhone. Now, one thing I really like about the OnePlus 11 is that it has very smooth animations by comparison to some cheaper Android phones, and not a lot of phones in the $699 price point feel as buttery smooth as the OnePlus 11 and fast. Let's go into Instagram. So that makes it quite the value. That looked like the OnePlus 11 had that. We'll go over here to this post right here, and you'll see that look like the OnePlus 11. Scroll down, we'll go over here to the cameras, OnePlus 11. So when you are actually in application, it's like it's a little snappier there on the right. Yeah, definitely a little snappier there on the right. Let's go into Play Store, App Store. Now keep in mind that the iPhone 14 Pro Max is twice the price of the OnePlus 11. Let's go to apps here. And you're gonna find applications faster. It opened up the apps first on the right. We'll go into TikTok on both of these. Not a fan, just using this as an app test. You can see scrolling through, very fast on the iPhone, and very smooth as well on the OnePlus 11. Let's go into Twitter here for both devices. And you can see Twitter first on the right. Let's go into profile. And you'll see profile, that might have been the iPhone. That was hard to see. Let me know which one that was. I missed that one, honestly. Let's go into Groupon. And looks like OnePlus had that. Categories, OnePlus again. Things to do. Gonna find that win to the iPhone. Now when you're actually in these applications, like I say, the differences are microseconds here. But keep in mind that the OnePlus 11 does have a less bright screen. So there are definitely, but keep in mind that the OnePlus 11 has a less bright screen, not quite as great cameras, but in the area of performance in the speed test, This is where you're getting incredible value on the OnePlus 11. Very fast for the money, competing with phones twice its price. Let's go to Amazon. You're gonna find Amazon first on the right. Click the deal of the day. You'll find that on the right. And so it doesn't look like whether you're using the Oxygen OS or you're using iOS, that any actions you're doing really are gonna slow you down. Let's go ahead and go into Starbucks here. And you can see that's first on the right. And here comes the iPhone behind. So yeah, I think in a lot of areas, you're gonna see the OnePlus 11 just feels like a faster phone. Again, nobody is really gonna notice that was the iPhone though. No one's really gonna notice this on the day-to-day. Ooh, that was choppy on the iPhone. Very weird. And OnePlus had that. You're probably not gonna notice this because you're not gonna think about how another phone is faster. We are really at a point now where you're getting a phone and you have zero things to worry about when it comes to performance. However, I'm still making this test because I really enjoy seeing how it stacks up to a phone that's half the price of it. And, you know, some people say, well, you're not really fully, you know, scientifically, properly, technologically testing this correct, bro. Look, bro, I don't do that because I don't do that on my day-to-day. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty certain the majority of the people in this audience are opening up applications every single day on their smartphones. And let's go into Call of Duty and playing some games such as Call of Duty, for example. And that's about it. Maybe using a few social media apps, you know, doing some content consumption. We just need to see what real world speed looks like. And you can see, I mean, this is crazy how fast this OnePlus is. You know, I always benchmark it to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, so I'm not really like super, you know, impressed if it's super fast because I know it's fast. I know it's the king. It's one of the kings of speed with the A series chipset. So what I want to see is how fast this phone is. I know that the OnePlus in the past has been really good, but one thing they got better at with these current OnePluses is just a little bit more refined, smooth feel. That's about it. They're still kind of quick like they used to, but they still have that issue in YouTube. It literally still does not scroll super smooth in YouTube. Super big letdown on the OnePlus. And you'll see Call of Duty is taking quite some time here. I think it's down. It does this every time I start Call of Duty. It like downloads a new update. So it takes a while, but the iPhone definitely had that first. And we'll go here. And you'll see we're about to be back in action on the iPhone first. So when it comes to the heavier stuff, it looks like the iPhone's still with that Apple GPU. Again, I do believe this comes down to the fact that developers develop it a little bit better sometimes, games for iOS. But there's a few that are a little bit more, you know, favored on Android as well. You can see the gaming engine keeps turning on. I have everything on default. I didn't touch anything in these phones. So that just comes on by default. And you'll see right here, no thanks, no thanks. I think it's incredible though. You could pay $6.99 and have a phone. I missed that tab, but it doesn't really matter. You can pay $6.99 and have a phone that performs as well as a phone that's $12.99. That's insane. Let's go into Subway Surfers here. An insane value in performance. Cameras are not bad either. Combined with the Hasselblad technology, they're not going to be anywhere near, I think, iPhone and Samsung in terms of, you know, versatility, top quality, but they're very, very competitive with phones that are at least in this price range, $6.99. You can see, let's go into 3D Mark, and that's going to go first on the left, and KineMaster, and you'll see, or KineMaster, whatever you want to call it. You can see it was the iPhone loading an ad there first on the OnePlus. So in this test, I think the iPhone's still a little quicker in the games, a little quicker when it comes to heavier stuff, using the GPU a little bit more, but the OnePlus faster in a lot of applications as well. So pretty much neck and neck here, performing very well. Didn't see any stutters, weirdness, or crashes on the OnePlus. So very great performance on both of these. Let's take a look at the RAM management, the reload. Let's see how smooth the iPhone 14 Pro Max can perform. One thing that has always impressed me about iOS and these iPhones is the refinement, the speed of reopening applications. It is just absolutely slick as butter. It is the smoothest looking platform out there when it comes to relaunching applications. I still have seen no phone beat that phone yet. Let's see if the OnePlus 11 can do it today. And you can see so far, buttery smooth. See, it's just this little like extra thing. I gotta pull it up. I don't know. And you've seen that like that little thing that popped up right there. I know it's silly, it's really petty, it's nothing, but it just, see, I had to tap that twice. It just feels not quite as polished. I don't know how to describe it. It's about the best they're gonna get it, but the iPhone still, I think it's the animation or something. It just still looks a little bit better to my eye. But overall, I mean, it's becoming like this much of a difference. If I could describe it, I'm almost closing the fingers. That much of a difference. It's minuscule. It's basically nothing, but it's definitely something in that my eye can still see how pretty it looks going back through the apps. I think it may be the touch response. Yeah, that's probably what it is too. Animations they just look better on the 14 Pro Max. All right, and our final Geekbench scores are in for 14 Pro Max. As you would expect, it's gonna win this test. We're still waiting on the OnePlus 11. We have a 2499 on the single core. These are ridiculous scores. A 6218 on Geekbench 6 for the 14 Pro Max. Probably the best score you're gonna see on a smartphone today. This stuff rivals MacBook performance. It's insane. However, it doesn't really take too much advantage of that CPU power because there's no split screen, there's no like extra modes that really plug in to a monitor or anything like that. This doesn't really use that power too much, but you still notice you have basically perfect performance. Now over here, with some bugs on iOS, you will get some issues though. Over here, not really competitive here at all on Geekbench. A lot of people do not take a lot of stock in the Geekbench, but $47.99, I still do them because it's fun to see the scores. $14.95. I'm gonna go ahead and run 3D Mark as I've done in my previous speed test, and we're gonna see what we can get on this test. Hopefully the OnePlus is a little closer here. I don't think it's gonna take it down. But one thing to note is that even though this had 16 gigs of RAM, you've seen in the real world that 16 gigs of RAM, it might be a gimmick in the sense that you probably will never need that much RAM. Nice to have for the long haul though, but I'm not really sure having 16 gigs of RAM really makes a massive difference because so far this is performing just like an 8 gig of RAM Samsung S23 Plus performed against this iPhone, for example. So that's all I'm saying about that. I'll be back when the scores are done. And what do you know? The OnePlus 11 has taken down the iPhone in Wildlife Extreme. Benchmark, you'll see 3608 versus a 33.7, 20 versus 21.60 average frame rate. And one thing I like too about this is that it actually scored better than 87% of all other devices in this test, only 82 for the iPhone. I also like how the OnePlus 11 has this punch hole. It's not quite as distracting as this dynamic island. So yeah, the OnePlus 11 in some areas can take down this 14 Pro Max. Overall, we have two blazing fast smartphones with only one coming out on top. Who's it gonna go to? It's kind of a draw almost, because in the actual app test we did, the OnePlus 11 had some, the iPhone had some. And Geekbench, the iPhone had it, and Wildlife, the OnePlus had it. So to me, it's pretty much a draw here. It just comes down to, do you want the, I would say, a little bit better camera? Do you want iOS updates, long-term support? Do you want the iPhone experience? Or do you want to save almost 50% and get a phone that really does have almost all of the things that this phone has at half the price, but you'll have to use the Oxygen OS experience, and that's really up to you to decide if you like that or not. If you don't, then it wouldn't be for you. Anyway, that's it for me for this speed test. Pretty much a draw here. Let me know your thoughts on these two down below in the comments. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.